Good Wednesday afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Morgan Wolf. Take a look at these new images that we got from Sky 11 in St. Paul this afternoon, where the city is moving forward with plans to clear homeless encampments out. City crews are sweeping Pig's Eye Park today, the largest homeless encampment in St. Paul. We just heard from the assistant mayor about the operation.
We still have a few individuals that are still there, and our process is to really go slow and steady in this. We understand that this is a process, and we want to respect and make sure that there is a strong level of dignity that we have for the individuals at the encampment. Ultimately, our goal is to support these individuals with greater stability and being indoors. And so we continue to let them know that there are options for shelter. There are also still wraparound services that are available. We continue to work with Ramsey County to ensure that they understand that we have public health services available as well as shelter housing services. We have social services available and financial assistance.
Now, while all of that is happening, protesters have also been gathering at the site all day, even forcing city officials to move a press conference, giving an update on that operation. The effort is drawing criticism from some community members today who are rallying at the site in protest of these sweeps happening.
There's a lot of chaos and confusion. People don't know where they're going to end up. There's not beds in the shelters for all of these people, so they're trying to find new places to camp and move. It's just they're kind of moving them down the road without addressing any issues, and all that's really being accomplished is fear and chaos and trepidation.
City officials tell us that they have been working with people for weeks, connecting them with shelter options and other services ahead of today's closure. They say that the site presents worsening health, safety, and environmental conditions that pose risk not only to the people staying there, but also the residents in the surrounding area. We're going to continue to monitor the situation on air, online, and streaming right here on the Kare 11 app. Also new today, state officials are not extending a peacetime emergency for the continued firefighting efforts in northern Minnesota. Governor Tim Walz says that those efforts are in a way better spot than anticipated this afternoon. So in an update today, we also learned that one of the most traveled roads around the Boundary Waters has reopened entirely to residents for the first time in nearly a month. We're talking about Echo Trail. Authorities said that 65,000 acres have burned on the U.S. side of these fires, and roughly 700 fire personnel are currently still on the ground responding to the area.
And while it's not over, and I'll stress it's not over, we are to a point where things are starting to calm down and be managed, part in place according to plan and with resources that we have. We have received some timely precipitation that has really helped to mitigate the stresses and the growth of these fires. They're not growing, but they are still burning. There is still lots of hot spots and residual heat. And so firefighters are working to sort of keep that in check.
While the firefighting operations continue, officials say that the focus is now turning to damage assessment and also the recovery efforts. Also during that press conference, we heard for the first time from Governor Tim Walz about the investigation into harassment allegations against St. Paul Mayor Kare. Here's what he had to say.
In all of these claims, we need to take them seriously. A workplace environment needs to be conducive to a positive environment for everybody there. This is one of those cases that we'll have to see as the facts come out, as they play forward. I know the mayor is still on the job, still doing the work and the interactions. There's been no disruption with the state working together.
New this afternoon, Core Civic announcing it has sold a long-closed Minnesota prison to Immigration and Customs Enforcement for $495 million. The Prairie Correctional Facility is located in Appleton, about 3 hours west of the Twin Cities. It closed in 2010 and can house up to 1,600 people. ICE says that it will start housing detainees by October. It expects to generate $75 million a year, and economics is one reason that locals have said they support the prison reopening, as others in town protest every week, concerned about inadequate medical care and unsanitary conditions.
I want to make sure that there is accountability so that people are safe inside and taken care of and given all of the rights that they deserve.
I was like, great. You know, it's something new. When you bring people to town, you bring money. And let's hope everything works.
We have reached out to ICE for a comment about the new contract, but we have not heard back. Continuing our coverage of fraud, it is one thing to steal from the state, but it's another to steal $1 million meant to pay for someone's health care and then still potentially get probation. But not anymore. Minnesota's new sentencing guidelines now make prison the expected punishment for 7-figure Medicaid fraud, even for a first-time offender. Here's Lou Goose.
How much of that money are you going to be able to pay back?
Seeing fraud suspects walk free even after they're found guilty of defrauding Minnesota's Medicaid programs
Are you able to comment on
is frustrating for Minnesotans to see. Okay. But a new law, combined with a change with Minnesota's sentencing guidelines, promises to put more fraudsters in prison.
So if you steal more than $1 million, it doesn't matter if you've been in trouble or not. You are going to be facing prison time.
Medicaid fraud suspects are prosecuted in both federal court by the U.S. Attorney's Office and in state court by the Attorney General Office's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. Many of the major cases, like Feeding Our Future, have gone through federal court, resulting in sentences as high as 40 years in prison. But for Medicaid fraud cases that go through state court, Governor Walz agreed when asked by Kare that the penalties needed to be stiffer.
Does Minnesota need to increase penalties? Currently, you can steal millions of dollars in Medicaid, and it's the same sentence as walking in Target and stealing TV.
They get viewed as victimless crimes or something. They are not victimless crimes. So I do think that. I'll go back to the legislature again. I think that would be something that Republicans would definitely agree with us on.
The legislature passed the MAP Act, which gives the AG's office more fraud investigators and creates different tiers for fraud cases depending on how much money they steal. Minnesota judges have to follow this grid when sentencing someone, matching their criminal history to the so-called severity level of the crime. At Attorney General Keith Ellison's urging, the commission that makes this grid set a $1 million Medicaid fraud offense at severity 8, which calls for 48 months in prison, instead of severity 7, which would have been just 36 months probation.
And if you steal $1 million from a public program for poor people, you should be looking at the loss of your liberty for that.
Lou Goose, Kare 11 News.
The next major fraud case to be sentenced in state court will be the organizer of Operation Pit Stop, a Faribault-based fraud scheme who will learn her fate in October. Developing right now, though, a major primary victory in Michigan. Abdul Saeed wins the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate, winning one of the party's most closely watched races. The former public health official beat out Congresswoman Haley Stevens, who Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer endorsed late last month. El Saeed will face off against former Republican Congressman Mike Rogers. Democrats are hoping to flip 4 seats while defending seats in battleground states like Michigan. Also developing today in world news, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirming at least 17 people were killed overnight in Russian attacks on Kyiv. This also comes as Ukraine accuses Russia of committing a war crime after a video was released showing a Russian drone chasing down and attacking a vegetable seller in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russia says that 7 people, including 3 children, were killed at its Black Sea holiday resort in what it said was a deliberate Ukrainian drone attack. NBC's Matthew Brodner has the latest.
5 years into Russia's war in Ukraine, this is what daily life looks like on and around the front. This video in particular is drawing attention. It shows a Ukrainian civilian, a vegetable seller in the southern frontline city of Kherson, desperately trying to evade a Russian drone that's stalking him near his van. The video was released by the regional Ukrainian military authorities. The video ends with the drone flanking the civilian and detonating near him. The man seen here survived the strike, though not unscathed. He suffered multiple shrapnel wounds, a concussion, and trauma. This behavior by Russian drone operators is indicative of what Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has called, quote, a human safari. Writing on Telegram yesterday, Zelensky said it was evidence that, quote, Russia has gone mad and that Russian soldiers enjoy killing and tormenting people. Ukraine's foreign minister went further, calling the video evidence of a, quote, barbaric war crime. Russia, for its part, has accused Ukraine of employing the same tactics with its drones. Yesterday, Russia said that a Ukrainian drone struck a crowded resort on its Black Sea coast, killing at least 7 people, including 3 children, and wounding 58 others. Ukraine said that Russia shot that drone down over the beach. This is what the war mostly looks like now. Every day, more drone strikes on both sides, with civilians caught in the middle. The United Nations estimates that more than 16,000 civilians have died in the conflict so far. Back to you.
Target field workers say that they are hitting the picket line again, this time during Senior Noah Kahn's sold-out show. That's a really highly anticipated one, too. Unite Here, Local 17, says that they are fighting for better wages and health care for concession workers with Delaware North. The union and the company, they have been in negotiations since March. Delaware North says tonight's show will be fully staffed. Take a look at your screen right now, though. This is a new picture from St. Paul police of a man that they believe damaged dozens of trees earlier this summer. Police say that the image is from 5 a.m. July 5th near 4th Street East and Minnesota Street. That's around the time that Parks and Rec says that 6 newly planted trees were damaged in Lower Landing Park, along with 18 more in nearby planting beds. This causing about $30,000 in damage. So if you recognize them, call St. Paul investigators. Right now, the Minnesota Health Department is investigating a salmonella outbreak linked to jalapenos in Minnesota. This afternoon, several Chipotle restaurants have pulled them from their menus. MDH has confirmed 110 cases in the state since mid-June. Most of those patients said that they ate at Chipotle. Others said that they ate at other Mexican-style quick service restaurants. Health leaders don't know if the outbreak is still ongoing. Chipotle, though, is cooperating with the investigation and tracing back where the peppers came from. The FDA is also investigating. The Cyclospora outbreak has grown to more than 40 states. Earlier this week, we learned that at least 2 people died in Michigan. The CDC also confirming that more than 10,000 cases are happening across the country, and they are looking into another 12,000. Officials say that some of these infections are linked to the recalled iceberg lettuce from Taylor Farms being sold at Taco Bell. Stick with us, though. We got more news and weather coming up after the break.